Hi, happy almost equinox. Spring equinox in the north and fall equinox in the southern hemisphere. I'm Martha with Living the One Light, and in this video I'm feeling called to talk about an aspect of the equinox that I've been feeling into and getting shown in my prayers, a certain aspect of this. So astrologically, what's happening, of course, at this time is that the sun is finishing its time in Pisces and is about to enter its time in Aries, which is the beginning of spring, which is happening this Saturday, March 20th. I think early in the morning on the Pacific coast of the the Americas. And so what I've been feeling into, what I've been getting shown a lot in my prayers in the last few days, is the energetics of what it means to be moving from Pisces into Aries, with Pisces being the energy of, in a certain sense, everything, I don't want to exactly use the word dying, but everything dissolving into nothing and going back into the soup of everything. And then the start of Aries is the beginning of, in a sense, the beginning. I mean, Pisces is the beginning and the ending and the beginning at the same time. And then Aries is like the spark of new life, in a sense. And the big sense that I'm getting about what's important to the spirit world for me personally, and I'm guessing others because I'm being told to share this, is that transition, or the overlay of the energies of Pisces and Aries, is really key and really important for us to remember. That Aries and then Mars, which is rules the sign of Mars, the planet, which rules the sign of Aries, has to do, or can have to do, with will and action, and the spark of, like, the will to do something, and then spark to do it, like the drive to do it. And the message I keep getting over and over again is that it can be really tempting for us to act and to charge and move forward, and we've tended to be kind of rewarded for action, and even action ahead of thinking. Like waiting and being part of the ether isn't particularly rewarded historically or today. So for lots of reasons, we can have a tendency to want to switch into action. And the message I just keep getting over and over again this week is that this time right now, right before, as we're moving into, the sun is moving into Aries, and we're kind of moving into that Aries soon. We're about to move into more of an Aries season. It's important to fully let go into the nothing of Pisces first. And even as new things are beginning, that it's important to, in a sense, like fully die away to everything, to the way I get shown is like explode into nothing, so that whatever needs to be the something can come from the nothing, as opposed to us using our brain, or our human willpower to make something happen. That has its place, and that has its own wisdom. But ideally, most of what we become, or most of what moves through us, will come directly from source. And source is the ultimate Pisces, it's the ultimate Aries, it's the ultimate everything, but Source is the ultimate, driving action life in one sense, at the same time that it's nothing and everything. So yeah, I've just been feeling into that a lot, and feeling in my own body, like I've been really loving the feeling of, I do this every day in my praying. I get taken up into the nothing, and I get exploded into nothing or infinity most days, not every day, but I love that feeling. And then I'm just noticing in myself, even just today, like the drive that a lot of us have a lot of the time, which is a good thing, which is to start something, do something. And and then, and like feeling like a righteous anger about certain things, and like I want to act, I want to do it. I want to be able to just come up with my own idea and move forward. And for me in my life, the way that I'm being asked to live my life is kind of different from how I've lived my life earlier. And I think a lot of us are being called to live in this way, which is that our actions ultimately come from that Pisces place of nothing, which can get frustrating. Especially when we might, see things that we feel really charged to do. And sometimes that charge feeling is coming from the nothing, and that it's totally appropriate to act on it, no matter what our goal is, and anyway, yeah. So, and then the other piece I just want to add to that is that in so many ways, I keep getting shown over and over again how, on the one hand, we have this drive to come from our human will, our human ideas about what needs to be done, our human cognition, our human science and medicine, and we've got a lot of tools to use in our human world that are great. And and what I keep getting shown and told is that we need new tools in our world. Just that, like, science has brought us a lot of new tools, and the Industrial Revolution and modern medicine and all these things have like, quote unquote, forwarded certain ideas, right? And then, of course, we also know the destructive side of all of it too. But so, I think of all the innovations that have happened that have truly helped people. And some of them, maybe many of them, have seemed as though they came out of nowhere, right? Like Einstein did thought experiments. What is that? Kind of like he got ideas out of nowhere in a certain sense. Not really, but or how did people develop things like penicillin, or I don't know, airplanes or telephones, or so many things. So what I keep getting shown and told is that, yes, there are times and important aspects to using our brain, our human functioning, etc. And then also, I am being called to also expand myself and to express this and to help other people expand ourselves, like our sense of identity, as not being only our brain and not only our heart, not only our body. I mean, that's a great place to start, because our brain, heart, body, being all have amazing wisdom. But then also to think of ourselves, our identity, and our mind, if you want to call it, ourself, as being literally everything. Infinity. So when we are trying to innovate and come up with things to help our world, that Aries is also a warrior. It's like we have this drive in us. All of us have a drive to protect things that we care about. And that's great. That's instinctive drive. And so when we have that wisdom in us that we know that certain things need to be protected, again, there's a wisdom that will come from our brain, that will come from our heart, that will come from our body, that will even come from our energetic body. But then there is literally the wisdom of infinity and of Source itself. And we are that. So what happens when we expand, for lack of a better term, expand our consciousness? It's so cliche, but literally when we remember the all that we are, what else can come through that maybe couldn't come through if we're only using our brain or only using our heart or our body? And again, those are extremely, extremely crucial tools. They're like part of a very important toolbox. Yeah. So, like in neuroscience, we know this. Like as a therapist for a long time, I would teach people, we need to calm our nervous system in order to be able to train ourselves to not only use our hindbrain, right? For example, right? We want it as a parents, again, I would teach this to parents and foster parents to help children regulate themselves, regulate their bodies and use cognitive and other techniques to learn to use the whole brain, not just our hindbrain. Because we know that when we go into fight or flight mode, we tend to be just in our hindbrain, or in, the more quote unquote animal part of our brain. And when we're there, we will act instinctively. We will tend to be more reactive, aggressive, and we'll be more in the moment. So when people expand their use of the brain to the whole brain, including the frontal lobe, then we become much more cognizant and aware of planning ahead, big picture thinking. We become much more logical and not just immediately reactive and thinking about, what I'm feeling in this exact moment. And that's really, really helpful. So then what if, and that's typical, in therapy, that's typically how we as therapists will help people. That's great. But what I'm being asked to do is ask the question of, what if we take that infinitely further? Some of us also get trained to come into our hearts too, and that's getting much, much, much more common, right? We tend to realize that our heart has a huge amount of wisdom, and it's not just our brain that's our mind, it's also our heart and our bodies. Our bodies carry so much wisdom, so many more memories than even our brain has. Our bodies are incredibly intelligent. But then, what if we expand our identity and our awareness to ourselves as everything? I have a sense that that's maybe what these thought experiments were like for Einstein, that he was using this part of himself that, wasn't just his brain. Where was he getting all those ideas? Maybe his brain made it up, but I'm going to guess it was more than that. Yeah. So as we think about, or as I've been thinking about this equinox, which in the northern hemisphere is spring and southern hemisphere is fall. That's either way, it's the Aries Equinox. It's just getting really impressed on me by the spirit world that, again, it's an opportunity to remember. The equinox is an opportunity for us to remember that the Aries drive and will comes directly from Pisces. They're directly related. Pisces blends into Aries, and Aries comes out of Pisces. It's so cool. So ideally, when we feel this spark, this start of something, ideally that's coming from the everything, the nothing, the all that is of Pisces and God. And really, it's like the will of Aries is, like, the phrase that's coming to me is, thy will be done. That's my prayer for this equinox. Is I feel this drive. Like, I'm starting to feel this drive to do something and, like, save people, save things. Be that warrior, that's associated with Aries. And then I get brought back to, thy will be done. Like, not only my will, but thy will. I am an instrument of myself as the all that is. And so I dissolve into the all that is to become thy will. It's as though like we can think of ourselves as Pisces, like I am Pisces, and then I am Aries. Like, you are Pisces, you are the all that is, and then you are the spark of Aries and the drive and the will to act. And they're inseparable. Especially if we, I mean, ultimately they are inseparable. And so that feels like my practice right now, is really staying with that truth. So that is my equinox message for you, my Aries equinox message. And for my Patreon members, I'm going to do a part 2 of this video, to a channel portion, to help us go into this experience of the Pisces into Aries in whatever way the spirit world calls. So if you feel called to join me for that, that's for all of it's going to be one of my weekly videos for all of my Patreon members at the $10 a month level and up. And next week I'll be doing a video for Patreon members for the full moon. And every month I'm doing those for the $6 level and up. And I do one for the new moon for all of my Patreon members, $3 a month and up. And there are also levels for working with me directly, and other gifts and other things I'm working on. So feel free to connect with me at livingtheonelight.com regarding any of that, or on Patreon, or email me directly at livingtheonelight@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening. I'd love to hear your thoughts, reactions, and talk to you soon. Have a good equinox. Okay.